Playing with Fire by Kath Whiting, Episode 2. No, sir. I look around the reception area. Oh dear, I think it must have been stolen. What? Who can even get in here? Well, during the day we leave the door unlocked. What? He shouts. I get around the other side of the reception desk to put a barrier between us. I'm really sorry. I'll call the police. I pick up the phone receiver, but Mr. Johnson leans across and cuts it off. No, that won't be necessary. He sags onto the reception desk. Are you okay? I ask. Was there something valuable in it? He rubs his hands through his wet hair. Oh, a bit of money. 2,000-3,000. What? Mr. Johnson bats away my exclamation. Just spending money. He falls into the antique armchair by the desk. You see, Sarah, it's what it represents. That case is my home. It's all I have. I can't afford any sentiment in my line of work, but small things become important. All my possessions, everything, every sock is significant. Christ, my shaving kit. He holds his head in his hands. Oh, I know it's all replaceable. And of course, nothing was incriminating. I still have my phone. He gets his mobile out and looks at it. Oh God, it's 10:30. I'm going to be late for my appointment. He wipes sweat off his upper lip. Can I book another night? He asks. I look down at today's check-in list to prolong his anxiety, even though I know there is a space. Yes, I tell him, then add, you can even have the same room. Mr. Johnson gives his first genuine smile. Thank you so much. You don't know what that means. Are you sure you don't want me to call the police? I ask. No, thank you, Sarah, he says. Then he picks his keys up from reception desk and hurries back out into the rain. The jangle of room keys wakes me up. I must have fallen asleep at the reception desk. Mr. Johnson is standing in front of me, even wetter than before. I look at the grandfather clock. An hour has passed. Is it too early for a drink? He asks. I'll open up, I tell him, stretching. I'll be right down, he says, and goes up to his room. Mr. Johnson comes into the bar 10 minutes later, smelling of our complimentary soap. He has had to put his wet clothes back on. I decide to be kind and light the fire for him. He looks around the empty bar. How do you, he begins, keep myself from going mad? I finish his sentence while I'm building kindling around the flames. I'm interested in our guests. I've got one of those faces that people open up to. It's not in the job spec, but I'm basically a hired friend. He looks me up and down with his lizard eyes. Not like that, no funny business, I say, and go back behind the bar, closing the latch. I like him now he's vulnerable though, and wet. I pour him a whiskey. And if they don't open up to you, he asks, don't spill their guts to you. Then I like to sleuth. That couple last night, she's cheating on her husband and he's using her for money. Maybe he'll go on to blackmail her. Really? He says, wrinkling his nose. I straighten the drip tray. I'm not saying I'm Sherlock Holmes. I just like making up stories about people. Mr. Johnson smiles at me. Sorry, I don't usually notice people or care about them. I mean, of course my job is with people, for people, but he rubs his forehead, I don't usually connect. He pauses, then stares at me with interest. So what story did you make up about me? At first, I thought you were a plainclothes policeman. He actually laughs, spluttering his whiskey out. I carry on. You had no distinguishing elements. Except my suitcase, he says. Yes, your case didn't fit. It looked designed to be undesirable. He laughs again, a little more coldly. I notice his strange translucent teeth. I know what I desire, he says, letting his words hang in the air for a long moment before carrying on. Another whiskey. And a drink for yourself, Sarah. Thank you, that's very generous of you, I say, and pour 2 whiskies. Are you sure you won't let me call the police about your suitcase? No. I have a feeling it will turn up, Mr. Johnson says. I nudge the case further under the bar with my knee and take a sip of my drink.